What if the origins of one of the most advanced civilizations in pre-Columbian America were rooted in a place that may never have existed? The Aztec Empire, famed for its temples, human sacrifices, and complex societal structure, continues to inspire awe and provoke questions centuries after its fall. Despite decades of research, excavations, and debates, many fundamental aspects of Aztec culture remain shrouded in mystery. In this video, we will journey through the most perplexing enigmas of the Aztec world, questions that science still cannot definitively answer. From the mythical land of Aztlan to eerie death whistles that mimic the cries of the dead, the Aztecs left behind more than ruins. They left an unsolved puzzle that continues to confound historians, archaeologists, and scientists to this day. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding the Aztecs is the supposed homeland from which they emerged, Aztlan. According to Aztec legends, Aztlan was a lush and vibrant land located to the north of the Valley of Mexico. It was from this mythical place that 7 Nahuatl-speaking tribes, including the Mexica, migrated southward in search of their promised land. This migration story forms the backbone of Aztec identity and history, yet Aztlan itself remains elusive. No definitive archaeological evidence has ever confirmed its location. Some scholars believe it could be located in what is now the southwestern United States, perhaps somewhere in Arizona, New Mexico, or even Utah. Others argue that Aztlan is not a real location, but rather a symbolic representation of a shared cultural memory or spiritual origin. Could it be that Aztlan is less of a geographic location and more of a myth that bound disparate groups together into a powerful empire? Following this mysterious exodus, the Aztecs established their capital city, Tenochtitlan. Built on an island in the middle of Lake Texcoco, it was a marvel of engineering. The city featured causeways, canals, aqueducts, and enormous pyramids, rivaling the great cities of the Old World. But how did the Aztecs acquire such advanced architectural knowledge? What techniques did they use to construct buildings that have withstood centuries, despite the challenging geography? Historians still debate the exact methods used to stabilize the soft, marshy land beneath the city's massive temples. The chinampas, floating gardens that fed the population, are another technological marvel. These artificially constructed islands not only demonstrate ecological ingenuity, but also present a puzzle. How were they designed to resist flooding while maintaining fertility over long periods? Attempts to fully replicate these systems have often failed, leaving modern scientists in admiration and confusion. Another unanswered question lies at the heart of Aztec religion, their pantheon of gods, and the rituals surrounding them. While we know a great deal about deities like Huitzilopochtli, Quetzalcoatl, and Tlaloc, the underlying logic of Aztec religious thought remains enigmatic. The Aztecs believed that the universe had gone through several cycles of creation and destruction, and they were living in the fifth sun, a temporary world destined for doom unless nourished with human blood. Why did the Aztecs adopt such a dark and fatalistic worldview? Some historians suggest it may have been influenced by earlier Mesoamerican civilizations, but the psychological and cosmological reasoning behind it is still debated. Why were human sacrifices seen not as acts of cruelty, but as essential duties to maintain balance in the cosmos? And then there is the mystery of the whistles of death. These small ceramic instruments, often found in burial sites, emit a shrill, terrifying sound that resembles the scream of a dying person. At first, archaeologists mistook them for toys or decorative items. It wasn't until researchers began blowing into them that they discovered their chilling purpose. But why would a civilization develop an instrument designed to mimic such horrifying sounds? Were they used in rituals to summon spirits? Intimidate enemies before battle? or perhaps to accompany sacrifices and guide the dead into the afterlife. Their true function remains unclear, and many of these artifacts have yet to be studied in depth. Among the lesser-known but equally perplexing mysteries is the Aztec calendar system. The Aztecs used two calendars simultaneously: the Tonalpohualli, a 260-day ritual calendar, and the Xiuhpohualli, a 365-day solar calendar. These were interwoven in a way that created a 52-year cycle known as the bundling of years. Every 52 years, the Aztecs performed a ritual called the New Fire Ceremony to prevent the end of the world. All fires in the empire were extinguished, and a new fire was lit atop a sacred hill and distributed throughout the cities. But how did they track time with such precision? What astronomical tools or observations did they rely on to calculate celestial movements with uncanny accuracy? Their calendar system rivals that of the Maya in complexity, yet remains underappreciated and partially unexplored. The Aztecs also had an intricate social system, with roles and classes ranging from nobles and priests to commoners and slaves. Yet within this structure, the existence of secretive warrior societies like the Jaguar and Eagle warriors stands out. These elite fighters wore elaborate animal costumes and were believed to possess supernatural powers. Their exact role in military and religious life is still debated. Were they simply elite soldiers, or did they serve a more symbolic or priestly function within Aztec warfare and ritual? The lines between the sacred and the martial blur in Aztec culture, making it difficult to determine where one role ends and another begins. Let us not forget the enigmatic fall of the Aztec Empire. While conventional history attributes the collapse to the arrival of Hernán Cortés and the Spanish forces, many researchers believe that internal factors played a significant role. There are accounts of ominous omens and celestial phenomena that allegedly occurred prior to the conquest: flaming comets in the sky, the spontaneous combustion of temples, and strange visions. These omens were interpreted by the Aztecs as signs of impending doom. But were these phenomena real, or have they been exaggerated or misinterpreted through colonial accounts? Did psychological despair contribute as much to the downfall as Spanish steel and smallpox? Despite centuries of colonization and cultural destruction, Aztec knowledge continues to survive in unexpected ways. Ancient Nahuatl texts, such as the Codex Mendoza and Florentine Codex, hold keys to their worldview, but are often layered with European bias. How much of what we know about the Aztecs is truly theirs, and how much has been filtered or altered by the Spanish chroniclers? Even our understanding of their language, art, and symbolism is tainted by centuries of reinterpretation. Could there be truths buried beneath these colonial narratives that we have yet to uncover? And while the heart of Aztec culture lies in central Mexico, traces of their influence have been found in distant regions: pottery, jewelry, and symbols that suggest trade or contact far beyond what was once believed. Were the Aztecs more connected to other Mesoamerican civilizations than we think? Could they have shared religious practices, political alliances, or even scientific knowledge with distant cultures like the Zapotecs, Mixtecs, or even the mysterious Olmecs? These connections hint at a pan-Mesoamerican network of cultural exchange that is still being unraveled by modern archaeology. As we begin our journey into the shadows of the Aztec Empire, we invite you to explore these questions with us. Many of the answers remain locked in the ruins of ancient cities, the undeciphered symbols in codices, and the stories passed down through generations. The mysteries of the Aztecs challenge us to look beyond the surface, to question what we think we know, and to consider the possibility that some truths may forever lie just beyond our grasp. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part of this deep dive into the enduring mysteries of the Aztec Empire. Join us in Part 2, where we'll explore the most haunting archaeological discoveries that defy current scientific explanations, including temples with no known construction tools, artifacts with untraceable origins, and tombs that remain sealed due to ancient warnings. The secrets of the Aztecs are far from solved, and the more we uncover, the more questions emerge. If you thought the enigma of Aztlan or the death whistles was disturbing, prepare to journey deeper into the shadows of Aztec history, into the realms where even modern science fears to tread. In this second part of our exploration, we focus on archaeological discoveries that seem to defy logic, monuments that challenge our understanding of ancient engineering, and sacred sites that remain untouched, protected not just by stone, but by ancient warnings still whispered among descendants today. These mysteries are not myths. They are physical, tangible riddles that continue to puzzle researchers in the 21st century. So tighten your grip on reason, because what you are about to hear is stranger than fiction. We begin with the sealed tomb of Templo Mayor, the main temple at the heart of ancient Tenochtitlan. Since its rediscovery beneath the streets of modern-day Mexico City, the Templo Mayor has yielded an astonishing number of offerings: skulls, jaguar remains, ceremonial blades, and intricate sculptures. But deeper within the complex, archaeologists have discovered sealed chambers that have never been opened. One such chamber, discovered in 2015, was found beneath a stone box filled with thousands of ritual items. Radar imaging suggests that beyond this box lies a tunnel leading to an inner sanctum, possibly even the burial chamber of an Aztec emperor, something never before discovered. And yet, no one has dared open it. Why? Because of a mixture of technical challenges and cultural beliefs. The chamber is located below fragile foundations, making access dangerous. But more hauntingly, some Nahua elders and local priests have warned that disturbing the chamber could awaken ancient forces. Whether you believe in curses or not, the archaeological team has stalled further digging. What lies beyond that sealed portal remains unknown. Could this be the final resting place of Moctezuma II, or something even older and stranger? Then there's the bizarre case of the Atlantean statues in Tula, the ancient city of the Toltecs, whom the Aztecs revered as cultural ancestors. These towering basalt warriors, each over 4 meters tall, were constructed centuries before the Aztec Empire rose to power. But when the Aztecs discovered them, they believed these statues held supernatural power and incorporated them into their mythology. What baffles scientists is not just their size and symmetry, but the lack of tools or construction equipment that could have allowed such carving and transport at the time. No quarry nearby matches the material used, and no written record explains their purpose. How were these colossal figures made? And why do they resemble stylized astronauts more than ancient warriors? Another perplexing mystery is the unexplained magnetic artifacts found in Aztec and pre-Aztec ruins. In 1979, scientists examining obsidian mirrors and magnetite tools discovered that some of these objects had natural magnetic fields aligned with Earth's poles. The Aztecs had no written concept of magnetism, no compasses, and no known use for such properties. So why do these items seem intentionally designed to respond to magnetic forces? Were they used in a now-lost navigational or ritual system? Or is this a coincidence science has yet to properly explain? Let's turn now to Aztec skull racks, or Tzompantli. These were massive wooden racks used to display the skulls of sacrificed individuals, both enemies and volunteers. One such rack was discovered beneath the ruins of the Mexico City Metropolitan Cathedral in 2017, containing hundreds of skulls. But here's the mystery. Some of the skulls belonged not to adult men, as expected, but to women and children. This challenges the common narrative that only warriors were sacrificed. Why would the Aztecs offer children? Some researchers believe it may have been tied to fertility rituals or drought-ending ceremonies, but the exact reasons remain speculative. Were these children seen as pure conduits to the gods, or were they victims of a darker, misunderstood aspect of Aztec theology? Even more disturbing is the discovery of hybrid skeletons, human remains that seem to have been surgically modified. In several elite burial sites, archaeologists have found skulls with intentionally altered shapes, teeth inlaid with gemstones, and in rare cases, skeletal evidence suggesting limb elongation or chest expansion. While body modification was common in Mesoamerican cultures, some of these changes appear extreme, even by ritualistic standards. What were these individuals? Were they high priests undergoing painful transformations for spiritual purposes, or something more sinister, like human experimentation? Another baffling site is the Cuicuilco Pyramid, located near Mexico City. Though technically not Aztec, it predates them by over 1,000 years. This circular stone pyramid was once buried under volcanic ash and only rediscovered in the 20th century. Here's the catch. Some geologists argue that the pyramid could be over 7,000 years old, making it one of the oldest structures in the Americas. This challenges everything we know about the timeline of advanced civilization in Mesoamerica. Could the Aztecs have inherited forgotten knowledge from Coatzacoalco's builders? Were they merely the last link in a chain of civilizations that stretch back into prehistory? Let's not forget the Stone of the Sun, often mistakenly referred to as the Aztec calendar. This enormous carved disc, over 3 meters in diameter and weighing 25 tons, is a symbolic map of time, cosmology, and religious belief. Yet, despite its fame, no one fully understands how it was used. Was it a calendar, a ritual altar, or a cosmic prophecy machine? It contains symbols that don't appear in any other Aztec codices, and some suggest it depicts cycles of solar cataclysms or events yet to come. Could this stone hold predictions of future world ages, buried in forgotten glyphs and celestial alignments? Lastly, we encounter one of the eeriest remnants of Aztec culture: the legend of the returning gods. Before the Spanish conquest, Moctezuma II reportedly received omens and visions of a pale-skinned, bearded god returning from the east. When Hernán Cortés arrived, he was mistaken for the god Quetzalcoatl, fulfilling an ancient prophecy. But this legend raises unsettling questions. How did the Aztecs have such a detailed myth about invaders arriving from across the ocean? Is it possible they had previous contact with foreign travelers, Vikings, Phoenicians, or other unknown seafarers? Or were these prophecies mere coincidence, exploited by the Spanish to manipulate native beliefs? In every direction, the Aztec world offers a doorway into the unknown. Rituals, artifacts, structures, and beliefs that seem too advanced or too strange for their time. And perhaps that is the most chilling mystery of all. How much have we misunderstood? What if we're reading the signs wrong? What if the real message the Aztecs left us is still buried beneath our assumptions? As we journey further into the complex world of the Aztec civilization, we enter territories that challenge the limits of modern understanding. We focus on how the Aztecs interacted with the universe through astronomy, medicine, and possibly even early forms of genetics. These were not just warriors and temple builders, they were sophisticated thinkers, philosophers, engineers, and observers of life. Their knowledge of the cosmos, their healing practices, and their manipulation of crops and even human traits are so precise that many researchers struggle to explain how such advancements could have existed in a pre-industrial society. How did they know so much? And why does science still have no complete answer? Let us begin with the Aztec calendar system, a dual calendar composed of the Tonalpohualli, 260-day ritual calendar, and the Ahupuali, 365-day agricultural calendar. The synchronization of these two calendars formed a 52-year cycle, referred to as the century by the Aztecs. The ritual calendar was used to determine sacred dates for ceremonies, sacrifices, and predictions, while the solar calendar helped in planning agricultural activities. But here's the enigma. Modern calculations show that the Aztec solar calendar was more accurate than the Julian calendar used by Europeans at the time. How did they achieve such precision without telescopes or modern mathematics? Even more puzzling is the Aztec knowledge of our planetary movement and eclipses. Some codices, such as the Kia Codex Borgia, contain illustrations and glyphs representing Venus, eclipses, and lunar phases, often linked to deities and omens. The Aztecs tracked Venus so accurately that they could predict its cycles of appearance and disappearance, including its synodic period of 500 days. Today, astronomers confirm these calculations are nearly flawless. But how did the Aztecs measure celestial time with such precision? They had no telescopic lenses, no known advanced tools, just keen observation and oral tradition. Or was there a deeper, now lost astronomical method passed down from older civilizations? Next, we delve into Aztec medicine, which modern researchers are beginning to re-examine with new eyes. The Aztecs cataloged over 1,000 plants and natural remedies in texts like the Hombadianus manuscript, written in 1552. This herbal compendium includes treatments for everything from digestive issues to infections and even mental disorders. Modern pharmaceutical research has confirmed that many of these plants, such as epizota for parasites, Quetzalcoatl for respiratory issues, and cacao for heart health, have measurable medicinal properties. But here's what baffles scientists. Some treatments appear to include combinations of herbs that suggest a knowledge of or synergistic pharmacology, where compounds work better together than alone. This is a concept not formally studied in Western medicine until centuries later. How did Aztec healers, without microscopes or biochemistry, understand the complex interactions of plant compounds? And more mysteriously, some remedies include ingredients from distant regions of Mesoamerica, suggesting a vast network of botanical trade and shared knowledge. Let's now turn to cranial modification and dental ornamentation, both widespread practices among the Aztec elite. Skull shaping was achieved by binding the heads of infants between boards to elongate the cranium, a process that permanently altered the skull's shape. Likewise, teeth were often inlaid with jade, turquoise, or pyrite, using tools so precise that modern dentists are astounded by the cleanliness of the work and the absence of infection. Skeptics might dismiss these as aesthetic rituals. But why were they so prevalent among the priestly and noble classes? Some researchers propose these modifications were meant to distinguish humans who had been chosen or who had undergone transformation rituals. Others suggest a more controversial theory: genetic or social engineering. By modifying the appearance of elites, the Aztecs may have been encoding lineage, spiritual rank, or biological purity in ways we no longer understand. The reasoning remains speculative, but the skill and consistency of these practices suggest more than mere decoration. And speaking of genes, one of the most astonishing recent discoveries is the selective breeding of maize, corn, by Mesoamerican cultures long before the Aztecs. By the time of the Aztecs, maize was a staple crop that had been genetically altered from its wild ancestor, Teosinte, into a highly nutritious and efficient food source. This transformation required generations of precise, controlled crossbreeding. Geneticists today marvel at how ancient agriculturalists, without molecular biology or CRISPR technology, managed to transform a nearly inedible grass into the foundation of an empire. The same is true for chili peppers, beans, and amaranth. This implies a sophisticated understanding of heredity, environmental adaptation, and plant cultivation. How was this knowledge acquired, preserved, and transmitted? Now, we look to Aztec surgical practices. While not as documented as in other cultures, there is evidence of cranial trepanation, the act of drilling holes into the skull, possibly to relieve pressure from trauma or to cure spiritual afflictions. Several skulls found in elite burials show clean, healed incisions, indicating that the individuals survived the procedure. The tools used? Obsidian blades, sharper than modern surgical steel. Obsidian scalpels are still used in some specialized surgeries today because of their unparalleled precision. But the Aztecs had no antiseptics, no anesthesia, and no antibiotics. So, how did these patients survive? And then we arrive at the most mystifying intersection of Aztec science and spirituality: the temple alignments with celestial events. Many Aztec temples, including the Templo Mayor, are aligned with specific astronomical phenomena, such as the sunrise on the equinox or the position of Venus during certain rituals. This precise planning required long-term observation and architectural skill. But what's most mysterious is how these alignments match those of other ancient civilizations across the globe, from the pyramids of Egypt to the megaliths of Britain. How did cultures so geographically and chronologically distant achieve similar cosmic architecture? Is this the result of a universal human fascination with the heavens, or something more? To add to this enigma, some Aztec myths describe the stars and planets as living entities, often involved in cosmic battles and divine dramas. In particular, the story of Coyolxauhqui, the moon goddess dismembered by her brother Huitzilopochtli, mirrors astronomical events that suggest an allegorical understanding of eclipses and lunar cycles. Could it be that the Aztecs encoded scientific observations into religious stories to preserve them across generations? One cannot overlook the obsidian mirrors used by Aztec priests and seers. These black, polished discs weren't just ceremonial objects. They were believed to be portals for communication with gods or to receive visions from the future. Modern historians often relegate these to mythology. But interestingly, these mirrors possess optical properties that allow for focused reflection, and when studied under polarized light, show patterns used to determine light direction, almost like an ancient scientific tool. Were these used for scrying only, or could they have served a scientific purpose we've yet to decode? In every layer of Aztec life, architecture, agriculture, astronomy, and medicine, we encounter patterns that suggest a society far more complex and advanced than previously assumed. The tragedy is that much of this knowledge was erased during the conquest, when temples were burned, libraries destroyed, and oral histories lost. What if our inability to solve these mysteries stems not from the limits of the Aztecs, but from the limits of our own imagination? From our refusal to accept that people in the past may have discovered ways of knowing that don't fit into our narrow definitions of science? As we cross the threshold into the most arcane corners of Aztec civilization, the physical gives way to the metaphysical. We now enter a world governed not only by stone and blood, but by energy, symbols, and consciousness. We explore the spiritual technologies of the Aztecs, those mysterious practices, beliefs, and experiences that suggest they were not just observing the universe, they were interacting with it in ways modern science can't yet measure. We begin with the concept of Teotl, the divine energy that permeated all aspects of Aztec existence. Unlike the Western notion of a singular god separate from creation, Teotl was an active, dynamic force that moved through time, matter, and spirit. Every rock, tree, person, and star was infused with Teotl. This wasn't just a religious idea. It was the Aztec model of Vosh reality itself. Now here's the enigma. This energy-based worldview mirrors, in some ways, certain theories in modern quantum physics. The idea that everything is interconnected through an invisible dynamic field is not unlike what physicists now call the quantum field, or what some Eastern philosophies refer to as chi or prana. Did the Aztecs intuitively perceive this interconnectedness long before science could prove it? To access and influence Teotl, Aztec priests engaged in ritual practices that combined physical endurance, altered states of consciousness, and symbolic action. One of the most powerful tools they used was entheogens, vision-inducing plants and substances, sacred mushrooms known as teonanacatl, flesh of the gods, were consumed in controlled settings, often under the supervision of trained shamans or priests. These were not recreational experiences. They were initiations into cosmic realms. Modern neuroscience has confirmed that psilocybin, the active ingredient in these mushrooms, dramatically alters brain activity, particularly in the White default mode network, which governs our sense of self and time. Users often report profound visions, encounters with entities, and a deep sense of unity with all things. Experiences echoed in Aztec descriptions of traveling to other worlds, speaking with gods, or witnessing future events. But how did the Aztecs know how to use these substances responsibly, in correct dosages, and in combination with chants, rhythms, and rituals that seemed tailored to guide the journey? Such precise psychospiritual techniques would require not just trial and error, but a deep understanding of consciousness engineering. Were these rituals handed down from earlier civilizations or discovered through systematic exploration of the mind? This brings us to one of the most haunting practices, the ritual of transformation. At certain times of the calendar, priests or sacrificial victims would assume the identity of gods, donning their skins, masks, and symbols before being sacrificed. But some records suggest that the transformation was not merely theatrical. According to the Aztecs, in those moments, the human became the god. The divine essence entered the person, merging spirit and flesh. Could this be a symbolic metaphor for psychological transcendence? Or something even more mysterious, such as what modern metaphysicians call walk-ins, channeling, or consciousness merging? The harsh rituals of death and rebirth also speak to a more complex understanding of reality. In Aztec thought, death was not the end. It was a transition to one of several realms determined not by morality, but by the manner of death. Warriors who died in battle would accompany the sun. Women who died in childbirth would enter a paradise of fertility, and others might pass through the 9 levels of Mictlan, the underworld, before reaching peace. This idea of multiple realms, vibrational layers of reality, and a soul's journey after death is remarkably similar to Tibetan Buddhist Bardo teachings, Egyptian funerary texts, and even the concept of purgatory in Christianity. Is this a universal insight shared by ancient civilizations, or a remnant of some forgotten universal system of spiritual science? Let's not forget the Nahual, a mysterious part of Aztec shamanism. Nahualism taught that certain individuals had a spirit companion or animal double that lived in another dimension. Through ritual, fasting, and dream work, a person could connect with their Nahual, gaining wisdom, power, or protection. Modern parallels can be found in totemic practices, lucid dreaming, and even in Jung's concept of the archetypal shadow self. Aztec priests and sages trained in Dream incubation, the act of entering specific dreams intentionally, guided by purpose or inquiry. This practice aligns with what some modern scientists now call conscious dreaming, or onironautics, the navigation of dream states for insight and healing. But how did the Aztecs know how to control their dreams so effectively that entire temples were built to honor the gods encountered in them? Then there's the Aztec concept of time, perhaps the most enigmatic of all. Unlike our linear model, Aztec time was cyclical and multi-layered. Time wasn't just passing. It was alive, sacred, and structured by cosmic energies. The calendar wasn't just a tool for agriculture, it was a cartoon map of spiritual influence, with every day ruled by gods, numbers, and elements. Actions performed on the wrong day could curse entire generations. Some days were black and required offerings to neutralize their power. This fusion of numerology, astrology, and spirituality suggests the Aztecs had a model of our energetic time flow, an ancient science of temporal resonance. Astonishingly, modern physicists are beginning to question the linear nature of time. Theoretical models like block time, loop quantum gravity, and quantum multiverse theory suggest time might be more flexible, layered, and interdimensional than once believed. Did the Aztecs, through ritual and observation, access truths about time that science is only now rediscovering? Even the Hane temple architecture may be encoded with this knowledge. The Templo Mayor was not just a political center. It was an axis mundi, a place where heaven, earth, and the underworld intersected. Its layout mimicked the cosmic structure of the Aztec universe. 13 heavens above, 9 underworld levels below, and the earthly plane in the middle. The very act of climbing the temple steps was a symbolic journey through creation. Finally, let's consider the mysterious phenomenon of Aztec echoes in other ancient cultures. From the pyramidal shapes to the rituals of sacrifice, solar alignments, and sacred geometries, why do we find such eerie parallels in Egypt, Mesopotamia, India, and even the megalithic structures of Europe? Are we looking at the result of convergent evolution? Different societies solving similar problems in similar ways? Or is there an as-yet unknown thread connecting these civilizations, lost in the cataclysms of history? In the end, the Aztec worldview was not one of superstition, but of deep experiential knowledge, gathered through observation, ritual, and altered states of consciousness. They did not see the world as separate from themselves. They were part of it, in constant dialogue with forces both visible and invisible. And this is perhaps the greatest mystery of all, a civilization that, in many ways, may have known something we've forgotten. Not just about stars or blood or stone, but about the human spirit's ability to travel, to merge, to transform. And while modern science may dismiss this knowledge as myth or madness, the growing interest in consciousness, energy, and multidimensional awareness may soon bring us back full circle. Let's begin with Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital. Built on a lake, it was a masterpiece of engineering. With chinampas, floating gardens, a complex canal system rivaling Venice, aqueducts, floodgates, and enormous temples, all constructed in a remarkably short time. How could a civilization with no heavy machinery carve, transport, and assemble multi-ton stone blocks with such precision? One of the greatest mysteries is the perfect alignment of Aztec structures with astronomical events. The Templo Mayor, for instance, was aligned so that on the spring equinox, the sun would rise exactly between its twin shrines dedicated to Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc. Achieving this required advanced knowledge of solar movement and mathematics, not only across seasons but across centuries. How did the Aztecs calculate this without telescopes or known computational tools? Some suggest oral tradition and keen observation. Others believe they had instruments lost to time, perhaps tools of measurement or geometry made from biodegradable or perishable materials. But a few researchers propose a more radical idea, that some Aztec knowledge was inherited from earlier, far older civilizations now vanished from history. Supporting this idea are artifacts found in regions once under Aztec influence, objects that don't fit their era. Take, for example, the so-called ancient battery stones. Carved basalt shapes that some fringe theorists believe may have been used for energy storage or transmission. While mainstream scholars dismiss these claims, laboratory tests on some stones show unusual magnetic properties. Coincidence? Or evidence of forgotten energy systems? There are also the poids carvings of beings with elongated skulls, helmets, and strange devices. Found on Aztec and pre-Aztec artifacts, these images closely resemble those found in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Are these representations of gods or of visitors? Beings described in Aztec myths as arriving from the sky, bringing knowledge, fire, and language. And what about crystal skulls? While many have been proven to be modern forgeries, some, such as the famous Mitchell Hedges skull, still spark debate. Could at least one such artifact have come from Mesoamerica and from a source the Aztecs guarded with religious secrecy? Then there are tales, spoken only in whispers, of underground chambers beneath Tenochtitlan, now buried under modern-day Mexico City. These chambers, according to local legends and a few ignored 16th-century accounts, contain libraries of codices, tools, and artifacts. The Spanish never found. Some believe these were hidden by fleeing priests and guardians of sacred knowledge during the final days of the conquest. Explorations in recent years have unearthed unexpected structures, but no official announcements have followed. What lies beneath the city? Moreover, the sudden destruction of Aztec knowledge is a mystery in itself. While Spanish conquistadors burned most codices, why did they focus so obsessively on the mathematical, astronomical, and medicinal texts? Bishop Diego de Landa, who oversaw the mass destruction of Mayan and Aztec manuscripts, later expressed regret, but the damage was done. Was this simple religious zealotry, or an intentional erasure of a knowledge system too dangerous to allow into the future? We must also ask, why do so many Aztec myths parallel modern scientific concepts? Ideas of parallel worlds, like the 13 heavens and 9 underworlds, energy as a divine force, Teotl, multidimensional time, and even the birth and death of universes through cosmic cycles. These align strikingly with current theories in astrophysics and consciousness studies. Is this all coincidence? Or could the Aztecs, through ritual, altered states, and generations of careful observation, have accessed truths we're only now rediscovering? The reluctance of mainstream science to explore these ideas may stem from a fear of being labeled fringe or unscientific. But silence is not neutrality. In the absence of curiosity, mysteries become myths. And myths, no matter how rich, become forgotten. The truth is this: we still don't fully understand the Aztecs. Their knowledge of time, their ritual technologies, their cosmology, and their architectural genius all suggest a civilization far more complex than mere history books admit. Whether they were custodians of lost ancient wisdom, gifted intuitives, or recipients of truths from unknown sources, the questions remain. And so does the silence. The Aztecs are gone. Their temples crumbled. Their books turned to ash. But in the stones of Tenochtitlan, in the stories passed down by descendants, and in the unexplained precision of their calendars and structures, something remains. something that waits. Not for science to accept it, but for humanity to awaken to it. The Aztec Empire may be gone, but its mysteries are just beginning to speak. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the forgotten realms of one of the most mysterious civilizations in human history.